And welcome into another episode of the Young Dad Podcast. I fired the live in studio audience for lack of participation and lack of trying tonight. So we didn't get them. We won't get them. They're fired tonight. But that's okay because someone who's not fired is my friend Bryant, who is joining me tonight. Bryant has a great Instagram page, the Indy Dad, over on Instagram, where he talks a lot about girl dad lifestyle and local Indianapolis adventures. I always have struggled due to my speech impediment saying Indianapolis. It's only
Well,
gotten better. It's only gotten better because I hear it so many times playing sports games. Madden, you have the Indianapolis Colts, you have the Indianapolis Pacers. There's not a baseball team, right? No, there's no baseball team there.
minor league, we got the Indians, but that's not anybody that you'd hear of
True,
way out there.
unfortunately. So yeah, Indianapolis has always been a word that I feel most people struggle with, but when you have a speech impediment, um, it's not favorable. So Bryant, welcome on. Super excited to have you. Super excited to talk to you. Go ahead and
Thanks,
tell us a
Jay.
little bit about yourself, a little bit about your
Yeah,
fatherhood journey, and anything else you want us to know about you.
awesome. Well, thanks, Jay. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to do this with you. Just a little bit about myself. Again, my name's Bryant. I go by the Indy Dad on Instagram. My whole thing on there is to just really share what it's like raising two little girls. I started it kind of when they were first born and just really ran with it from there. I also think that the best thing that we can do with them is experience stuff and be connected to the community. So I love taking them to restaurants and like just getting out and about within Indianapolis. So just sharing all the cool things that we have around here. A lot of people think of Indianapolis as like a flyover city, but there's so much to do here that I want to make sure that they really love where they're from and enjoy it as much as I do. Most of the stuff that we do, I mean, it's just day to day family life. We spend time together. We've got two dogs that we're loving on here lately. Both of them are under one, so that's been a fun adventure too, adding them to the family. But outside of that, really just checking out restaurants, museums, just roaming around the city together, really just living our best life here in the Midwest and sharing it with everybody that we can.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So how did the dogs come into the picture? Because that's what I'm curious about.
I Sure. I have always had dogs my entire life. And when me and my wife met, we both had older dogs. They were like, they passed away 2 years ago now. So when they passed, they were like 15, 16 years old. So we've always had dogs around.
Mm,
When they passed, we took a little time because they were our babies first. And then almost exactly a year ago, we got a Bernese Mountain Dog, just something my wife always wanted, and we needed the noise in the background, the dogs like running around, just little cuddle buddies, I guess, if you is the best way to put it. So we got her, and then I've always wanted a Great Dane, and we found this rescue here in Indy that basically rescues dogs from abusive or overcrowded breeders. So I found a Great Dane that I wanted, and I called my wife and I was like, "Hey, there's this Great Dane. He's purebred, and I can get him for like a couple $100, and we're rescuing him from this breeder because he has a respiratory infection, and they're already treating him, but the breeder can't sell him for what they want, so they're basically going to put him in a pound if this rescue didn't go and get them." So it was just, we found this page. They had the dog that I wanted, and I just kind of jumped up and got the second one. That was just a couple weeks ago.
wow, okay. Very cool. You
Yeah.
had me at
So
purebred
yeah.
Great Dane. The only thing I
Oh
know
yeah, my
about,
favorite.
they're great dogs. They're huge and they're so
Mm-hmm.
fun, but they can have very complicated, as far as I know, very complicated like health issues very easily.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so you have to,
Think of it
they need
as
like,
like a 7 foot tall basketball player. They have all the like heart issues, or they can like their legs. You got to like make sure that they don't like overexert themselves. Like he's 4 months old, so we're still like carrying up and down stairs, so he gets strong enough and doesn't like hurt himself trying to do all that. But he's a blast.
that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I had gotten mine. I've always had dogs with my kids. When my older
Mm-hmm.
one was really little, we adopted this older golden retriever from a shelter, my ex-wife and I at the time. She
Mm-hmm.
was already 6. This golden retriever, she was at the shelter because she had dog aggression. And
Oh.
sweetest dog you'll ever meet. Just meeting her when we met
Mm-hmm.
her, like I just fell in love with this dog. Absolutely just amazing dog overall. We had her
Mm-hmm.
for until we had her for about 5 years. So my
Wow,
oldest
that's good for
was,
a golden.
yeah, my oldest was only a few months old when we got her. So she
Mm-hmm.
grew up with that dog, and so that was a great experience for her. And then honestly, the experience of having to put her down and all that was a great experience for her in hindsight, of course, because it teaches them so many things in those moments.
Oh yeah.
And then a few months later, we got Ringo. Ringo's my Australian Shepherd Lab mix. He's half Australian Shepherd,
Okay.
a quarter Lab, an eighth Rot, and an eighth Healer. And
How
he's
much energy
so
you
much
dealing with
fun.
there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's 2 years old. He'll be 3 later this year. And
Okay.
so he's finally on the tail end of that like puppy phase as he's entering his like mature years before he
Oh
enters
yeah.
his golden years. So because dogs develop just so differently. Everyone thinks it's like linear, like 7 years, but it's like that first
No.
year they're like 0 to like 9, and then they're like 9 to
Yeah.
16, and then they're like 16 to 25. So he's in that 16 to
Yeah.
25 years now. So he's growing up. He's growing up.
Imagine what those years were like for us and how that has to feel as a dog.
Yeah, because for us, it's year after year. For them, in 1 year, they go
Yeah.
through 7, 8, 9, 10 years of development at once.
Yeah.
Like every month,
Mm-hmm.
they're aging a year essentially when they're in their
Yep.
first 3 years of their lives, which is crazy. And
It
then
is.
over the summer, I actually was given somehow. What happened was, so I work in mental and behavioral health. We work with youth and families,
Mm-hmm.
and this family had a litter of puppies. And
Okay.
one of my coworkers at the time was like, "Oh, well, I know like all my coworkers would love to like take these puppies off of you so that you don't have to give them up to a shelter or anything. Like, let me just take them and I'll take them back to the office and everyone will take puppies." And so before we know it, at our office,
You
there's like
acquired a
this
dog.
group of, yeah, there's like 5 puppies, and I didn't originally claim one.
Wow.
I was too late to the party. Um,
Yeah.
I was like, it's fine. My dog's almost 2. Like, I don't need another one. Like, he's just getting better. I'm just getting out of the puppy
Yeah.
phase. I don't need to go through that again because it was miserable with him. I don't want to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my coworkers that did end up taking one was like, we can't keep it. Would you want it? I know you were thinking about taking one. Like, would you want it? And then I ended up with a Chihuahua.
Oh wow. That's drastic. Big difference
Yeah.
there. That's cool though.
Oh,
Chihuahuas can be fun.
he's actually really good.
Mhm.
Like surprisingly, he's
Yeah.
really good. He's not very loud.
I got
He's
a
not very
question for you.
barky. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, sorry to interrupt. I was just curious because I noticed this with my dogs. I mean, my Bernese is 1, so she's still very much in the puppy phase. But as soon as we brought this Great Dane home, it seemed like she aged a couple years and became like adult. Did you notice that with your first one?
You know what? Thinking about it now, yes, he kind of like not instantly, but thinking about the last like few months that we've had him, we probably had him for maybe
Mm-hmm.
at the time of this recording, he's probably 6, 7, 8 months old. I don't even know. Um, really, I stopped keeping track. Like I haven't taken care of this Chihuahua like nearly as much as I took care of took care of Ringo. His name's
Yeah.
Leo because he came from a litter of 5. No, 4.
Uh-huh.
There's 4 boys in this litter, and there's
Hmm.
Leo, Rafa, um, Leo, Rafa. Why can't I think? Donnie and what's the 4th one? Help me out here. They're named after the Ninja Turtles. They all are. They all have a Ninja Turtle name
Oh,
because there's
okay.
4 of them. They're 4 boys, 4 brothers. Um,
Michelangelo?
Mikey,
Is that the
Yep,
last one?
Mikey. Yep,
Ah,
you're
there you
right.
go.
Mikey, Donnie, Leo, and Rafa were the 4 puppies. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, no, thinking about it, he kind of has like he's stopped a lot of his like dumb behavior.
Yeah.
He's a bit more chill. He's a bit more like in and out going potty. He's a bit more mellow. The one thing I don't like
Hmm.
about it though is that he's so much more in everyone's face. He's like
Oh,
he
yeah.
can't
Got the
balance
jealousy
the
fit, huh?
attention. Yeah.
Sure. Yep. No, I've seen the same thing where like everybody's got to be involved all the time, and it's both of them. They just have to be around like right at your feet. But yeah, I've noticed that my 1-year-old girl, I mean, it was really weird. She just like turned into this like alpha of like this is how the house runs. And I mean, it helped the puppy fall in line. He said we've had him a couple weeks now. We've had 2 accidents in the house. So it was like an instantaneous, like they formed this pack mentality with the 2 of them. And it was just really weird to see, like, she went from this rambunctious, crazy, like, all over the place. And Bernese Mountain Dogs aren't little. I mean, she's a year old and she weighs 85 pounds. So it's like she went from like jumping on everybody to like I have to be the calm in the house now. It was weird, but I was just curious if it was just me and I got lucky, or if you
I
noticed
think
the
you
same
got
thing.
I think you got a bit lucky cuz my older dog Ringo, he's definitely taking like the lead. He definitely like asserts himself more. He's like,
Uh-huh.
I go in first. Like you wait for me to go in. Like you don't go in the house until I go back in. Like you follow after me. You go in the kennel after me,
Yeah.
or you go in first. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I've always since I got the little one, I make them share a kennel because I'm like the best
Uh-huh.
way these 2 dogs
Okay.
are gonna merge and get along is that if I throw them in the same kennel for multiple hours on the
Gotta have
day.
the gotta share the space. Yeah.
Exactly. So they have kind of learned to coexist. The little one just hasn't taken the example of he's getting a little bit better. I think it's some of the just puppy stuff. Maybe it's his breed. Maybe it's because I don't know what I'm doing with this dog. Uh, he he goes in the house. He doesn't pee in the house. He just poops inside,
Oh,
and he'll do it anywhere. And I've tried all the things. I'll clean the floors
the
with Pine
Chihuahua does
Sol.
this?
Yeah, I'll clean the floors with Pine
Uh-huh.
Sol. I'll clean it with Fabuloso to try to take like the scent markers out to discourage
Uh-huh.
him, like because he can't smell it, so the scents are gone, so he doesn't know where to go because all the scents are all confused, so it's throwing off his nose. He
Yeah.
no joke. I'm cleaning the floor. I have a Bissell Crosswave. Bissell's not a sponsor, but if you know what a Crosswave is, you know. It's like a vacuum mop
Yeah.
thing in one. They are the best thing
Oh
for
yeah.
hardwood floors.
We've got a similar thing. It's not a Bissell, but yeah, they're good.
Yeah, a Crosswave, next level. Get yourself a Crosswave. They have them at the Costco and at the Sam's Club. They're like $100. They will be the best investment you have
Nice.
ever made. Uh, but anyways, I'm literally. This is last week. I had just cleaned the living room hardwood with this. It's
Mm-hmm.
still wet. You can still see the wetness streaks on the floor. He no joke goes over and craps on the clean.
Oh man.
I'm like, everything
You,
I read says you're not supposed to do this.
yeah. I don't know, man. I don't know anything about Chihuahuas. Other than I've had friends that have had them, but I wish I could help you. I don't know. That doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense to me either.
no, I've gotten to the point where I'm trying to ask AI how to housebreak this dog, and nothing works for him. Like, he's a good dog. He's
Yeah.
very cuddly. He's very sweet. He's very quiet. He's
Uh-huh.
not loud. He's very cuddly. He's very mellow. He just poops in the house, and it's annoying. I've tried doing the rub your nose in it, rubbing his nose in
Yeah.
it to make him feel bad so that he doesn't do that. He just licks it.
Oh yeah.
But
Hopefully
anyways,
you figure it out soon.
hopefully, I don't know what else to do. If any listeners have suggestions, please message me on Instagram. I'd be happy to take them. So we talked about our fur babies. Let's talk about our
Yeah.
human ones. Let's talk about our secondary babies.
Fantastic.
Um, Tell me a little bit about your fatherhood journey. When did you become a dad? What?
For
How has
sure.
fatherhood like changed you? Changed your relationship with your wife, and changed the way that you just function as a person?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it changes everything. Uh, we had our first daughter in 2016. She's 7, going on 8 this summer. Um, it was crazy. Like it wasn't something that we planned. We weren't married at the time, and it was one of those. It kind of hit us all at once, and I think it kind of really sealed the deal for us too. Like we both had this moment of, you know what, this is going to be tough. We're young still, relatively, and you just, we had that moment where it's like, I'm going to be there for you. Don't care what it is. You're going to be there for me through the whole thing, and we're going to just kind of figure it out. And I mean, she was perfect from day one. I'm sure every dad says that, but she's just fantastic. I mean, she at 7, man, she's already like her own individual person, and we take a lot of pride in like the one thing that we try and instill in them the most is like know who you are and take pride in who you are, and because nobody can take that from you. So like being a girl growing up kind of in a big city. We live off to the side of Indianapolis, so it's a little smaller. At least our school is. But like growing up as a girl in a city is gonna be tough. I mean, especially with social media now, we didn't have to deal with that. So like, if
Mm-mm.
you know from like 3 years old, like who you are, and you can stand by that at 3, or 6 or 7 or whatever, like she'll be set. So like that's kind of what we've tried to instill in her. Um, I mean, and we grew up together. I mean, she grew up with us, all through our 20s and into 30s. So she's kind of been our ride or die too. And then we had our second. She just turned 4 in December. She's our ball of joy. She's the one that'll laugh at everything and plays all the time. Um, she's also our independent girl. She has no problem if somebody doesn't want to do what she wants to do, going to preschool or whatever. She's like, okay, cool. I'll go play with the toys that I want, and we'll do our thing. Uh, she's my wife's best friend, that's for sure. But as far as like just bringing me and my wife together, though, like it's, I mean, kind of like how my Instagram goes. It's everything that we do. We like to include them in everything. We treat them like adults. So if we want to go out to dinner, like they know we're going to go to dinner and we're picking somewhere that we want to go, we'll get their opinion and stuff like that. But you're going to try something new tonight because that's what I'm big about. Like, I don't want to eat the same thing every day. And like, you're going to try new stuff. We're going to cook together. We're going to clean the house together. Like, we've done a full integration into everything with it. Um, it's kind of like, you know, in college when you have roommates and you set up like this living scenario. Yes, we're still their parents, but like we exist together. So it's just it's really worked for us. And I think it's brought all of us closer, just the kind of the way that we go about it. Of like, yes, you have your chores at 4. You've got a couple things you need to do. You get a reward for it. If you do good through the week, like you get a benefit to it, we get to go do something fun and we'll let you take the lead. Like you get to pick the stuff that we do and we'll give you a couple options. If you don't do so great, we talk about it. You know, we're not going to hold your feet to the fire on your chores or anything like that. I know me growing up, it was like you have to do your stuff and you have to do it at this time and you have to do these things. We're not going to hold them to that quite as much. We have a standard that we want them to live by, and you know, really just to make the house run smooth and make us all happy together. It makes it really easy. But you know, nobody's perfect. So if you're not perfect, what was it? Read Atomic Habits years ago, like when it first came out, and one of his things was don't miss twice. So like you can mess up and like leave your clothes in your room and everything like that for a day. We tell you the next day, you just don't do it twice in a row, you know, and just kind of live like that. You can always make mistakes. Mistakes are always going to be okay. You can always come to us to talk through the mistakes, or not necessarily even mistakes, just like shortfallings, I guess. And I think they see it as it too, of like, I don't want to play in a room that has stuff all over it and like I have to play with my toys and all this stuff. So really just, you know, we've found a really cool working relationship with our kids where like we're having fun all the time, but we're also like helping each other all the time, be it
I love
chores or
that.
just like having conversations together about our days and stuff. Like, I don't know how many parents have like conversations about work with their kids, but I do. Of like, we'll have conversations where she'll talk about how school went or if somebody was being mean on the bus ride home or something like that. And like, she can get it off, but I can also like have the conversation of like, Dad's tired today, and it's because I talked to people at work and it was kind of rough, and like we help each other through all that stuff. So it's been really cool growing together, and I think it's brought me and my wife really, really close together. Of like, we don't always have to be talking, but we're always together, like doing something or just interacting together in one way or another with all 4 of us. And it's just, it's really worked for us. And I like to think that we're a really, really close family.
I love that. There's so many good things there that you hit on. The first, same. I became a dad in 2017. I was 22, so my oldest has like grown up with me. I don't know if you agree, but there was a 3-nager phase, there was a
Oh,
4-nager
yeah.
phase, and now it's been 5 going on 15, 6 going on 16. I'm sure for you, 7 going on 17. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
have been the last few years because that's where I'm
Mm-hmm.
at. It's 6 going on 16 right now. Just hyper independent, very
Oh, yeah.
intelligent, very smart, able to have like real conversations with people and
Mm-hmm.
very adult, mature conversations with everyone around her where she can communicate at
Mm-hmm.
a high level. And it's just great.
Definitely.
She's absolutely great. And she's one of my best friends, my older daughter. She's one of my best friends. I love her to death.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do life without her. She's seen me cry. She's seen me yell and scream and get
Yeah.
angry. She's seen all the worst sides of me, and yet somehow she still loves her daddy. And
Yeah.
she's just so kind and so loving and so sweet. And she's very easy to talk to, and she communicates the things that she doesn't like. She doesn't like swearing. So she's like, stop swearing, Dad. Dad, don't swear. Dad, don't do that. All the
We all
time.
need that sometimes.
True. And she's also really great at the same time, like, to be able to have that conversation with. Like, and she picks up on it. Like, if I tell her I had like a really bad day at work, she'll ask me how work was. She'll ask me about it. Did you have a long day? Was it a hard day? Did you talk to a lot of people? And so she
Mm-hmm.
understands those things, like how they like affect me, and to try to learn how they affect
Yeah.
her at the same time. So it's really cool. It's really fun. My 3-year-old is the party. Nothing against my older one. She's very calm. She's very mellow. She's not as crazy. I'm pretty sure she's so they're my kid's mom and I were not together again, or we're not together anymore. We
Mm-hmm.
divorced about 3 years ago, and my fiance now. I'm pretty sure my older daughter likes my fiance more than she actually likes me, which is fine. So that's more her friend.
Yep, that's a good thing.
My little one's like my little bro. Like we bro out. My little
Yeah.
girl and me, we bro out. She's like
Mm-hmm.
she likes to watch football with me. She likes to watch sports with me. She likes to just talk about poop and
There you
do
go.
all the things. She's super fun, super outgoing, and she's the same. Like, okay, no one wants to play with me. Fine, I'm just gonna do my own thing. Both my kids self entertain very well. I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
But no,
Mm-hmm.
she's the life of the party, kind of wherever she goes. She just knows how to have fun, entertain herself, and that's one of the things I love about her is that she just reminds me all the time, like life isn't that serious. But when I tell her that, when things aren't that serious,
Absolutely.
she it's that serious. Even when it's not. So, but she'll even to say like a phrase that she picked up last few months is not that deep, bro. Not that deep, bro.
Oh man. The
She's
first time I got a bro from both of my girls was just, it stopped me in my tracks of bro. And I was like, hold on. No, no, no. Like, one, that's really funny. But two, like, I'm not your bro. That's not how we go
right.
about this. Like, we're we're definitely best friends and all of that, but like you don't even know what bro means. You asked me what it means, but you've been calling me this for a while now. Like, oh man,
Yeah.
that's funny.
No, and so she'll say it to her older sister sometimes. That really just
Mm-hmm.
sparks the flame right
Oh
there.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it's always been funny because the little one just knows exactly how to pick on her older sister.
Mm-hmm.
She just knows exactly what buttons
Oh
to
yeah.
push, how to push them, when to push them, and how just to push them just right to get her to start crying or reacting or whatnot. And she doesn't think anything's going to happen to her,
Just
but
enough.
sometimes if she hits, she gets hit back by her older sister, and it hurts.
Sure.
It hurts a lot. And
Unfortunately, you
so,
gotta learn sometimes.
and like, that's one of the things that's like kind of out there, like with my parenting, is like, well, if you get hit by your sister and you don't hit yourself back, then you're going to keep getting punked. You're going to keep getting hit
Yep.
if you don't stand up for yourself.
Yep.
So it also is
Mm-hmm.
going to teach her that I can get away with hitting anyone I want.
Oh yeah.
So when she gets hit back, it gives her a quick piece of humble pie. And I'm okay with it. Her mom,
Oh yeah. Me too.
they don't let them do it in their house. They don't hit. They try to solve everything with words, which is fine too. Um, but sometimes if you're hitting, you need to learn that you can't just hit and not expect to get hit back. And so yeah, that
Yeah.
causes a lot of tears and crying. But I'm like, if you hit first, then I my hands are kind of tied. If you're
E-
instigating and then she responds appropriately, if you insult her and then she insults you back, my hands are tied.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing that I've been trying to teach my oldest because she's, like you said, 7 going on 17. She's like, one thing I keep trying to tell her is that, like, the one thing you can control is yourself. Everything else is something that you can't control. So if your sister comes at you, one, she's made her choice, and she now has to live with that choice. But also now it gives you the opportunity to make your choice too. And really, it's taking teaching off of us, man. Like, they're teaching each other, like, this is how you interact with people. And this is how, if you do something that somebody doesn't like, they're going to react to it. So
Yeah,
it's one less thing that we have to teach them too. So probably
true.
something that we couldn't.
True. No, exactly. Because it's not okay for you to hit your kids, but it's okay if your kids hit each other. Uh, but I
Yeah.
like to call it. It also can be called natural consequences. But it kind of falls
Yep.
into kind of what you mentioned. One of the topics that you kind of want to talk about a little bit is what real life parenting, because
Mm-hmm.
these are real life situations. Everyone's probably heard the saying, "Talk shit, get hit." A couple times,
Yep.
and we've all heard the saying over the last few years of "f around and find out." And there's a direct correlation as if you f
Yeah.
around this much, and you start meeting the find out. Well, the x and y axis are going to intersect, like we learned in 10th grade algebra, and you're heading
Yep.
this way toward it, and you're going to find out eventually. Everyone eventually finds out. Now, part of that
Yep.
is you you can control you. You, like you just said, you can control how you react, how you feel. You can control your feelings and your reactions. What you
Mm-hmm.
can't control is how someone reacts to you. You can't
Yep.
control if you're just making a joke, or you're just saying what's on your mind, you're saying something based in fact, you're saying something based in your beliefs, kind of thing. It's not your fault. And this is something for me too, something I've got in trouble with professionally before, is that, well, I
Mm-hmm.
can't something I've literally said before is I can't control how they feel. Like, I'm sorry they feel that way. Like,
Sure.
that's on them
Yeah.
to
Been
feel in
there.
control. Like, I'm not saying anything. I didn't say anything
Yeah.
offensive. If they decide to take it and get offended, like, that's on them. I'm sorry. Like, I don't. That's not on
Yeah.
me. And so teaching them that it's important too, because the world we live in, the landscape we live in, world-wise, it's like everyone gets offended for some reason or another. And I'm not here to
Sure.
teach my kids to worry about your kid getting offended over something very minor in middle school.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I care about my kid being respectful. My kid's going to be respectful. They're
Oh,
going to
for
be
sure.
tolerant. They're going to be accepting. They're going to be open-minded. They're going to be nice. They're going to be kind. They're not going to be little a-holes. Trust me. That's not the
Yeah.
intention
That's
of
the
what I'm
dream.
trying to teach them.
Yeah.
But if your kid is easily offended because of what you're teaching them, that's a you problem. Don't come at me because my kid
Sure.
can a stand up for themselves intelligently, hit your kid back when they're getting picked on. My kids know you never ever ever throw the first hit. You wait till you get hit,
No.
and then you go all out.
You're allowed to protect yourself. Absolutely.
100%. If you're getting
I will.
bullied,
I will flip that. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, if you're
Oh no,
getting
I was gonna
bullied,
say.
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna flip it on you just a little bit of like, I completely agree with everything you're saying, but also there's a learning lesson there too for our kids of like, if you're gonna say something, you're putting it out in the world, and yes, there are people that are gonna get offended. You have to learn to take the consequences of that. It's not your fault. It's not necessarily your problem, but you gotta learn to like manage your people skills and like communicate with people. Like, yes, people are going to get offended and stuff like that, but it's not on you to make them feel a certain way or to protect them from this, that, or the other. but you also have to be ready for it to come back at you if you decide to make a conversation or say something on your mind or something like that. Like you said, be intelligent about it and back it up and like stand your ground. But there is a piece of empathy that needs to be in there too. Don't
100%.
fall back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry," but you have to learn to. You can make somebody can get offended off of what you say or something that you do, and it's not your problem to necessarily fix that, but you have to be able to understand where they're coming from too and see like how did they get to this point and like how can we come together to rectify it to be like, yeah, you're offended now, but that doesn't mean my 7-year-old daughter and her friend are going to be terrible to each other moving on. Like you have to be able to work through it too.
True. Exactly. There's an empathy part of it to where that's why I preface it like with like they're gonna be caring, accepting, open minded. Like they're gonna know they're gonna be able to read a room and be able to say like to themselves, oh maybe I shouldn't say that right now. Maybe that's not the best thing to say in the
Exactly.
situation.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
maybe if I do say that
Pull the
does
person
make me the
aside and make
a-hole.
it an intelligent conversation. Make a good point though. There's nothing like an independent kid though. It like you it's a crazy weird balancing act that you'll learn and try and figure out till the day you die. But if big thing there is you got to be able to stand up for yourself, but you also got to be able to admit when you're wrong too, because
Mm-hmm.
how are you going to learn without being wrong sometimes?
100%. And you have to be able to recognize when you're wrong too. When you took it too far,
Mm-hmm.
when you maybe
Yeah.
got hit one time and you decide to hit back 3 times. Okay,
Yes.
maybe you caused a big problem here. Maybe you overreacted
Mm-hmm.
to your sister trying to come and play with you and engage with you, because one thing that I really struggle with is trying to explain to them like, look, you're older, you know how to do this,
Yeah.
but your sister's
Mm-hmm.
younger, she doesn't know at your level. She's not at your level. So she can't understand. All she sees is you having fun and playing, and she wants to have fun and play with you.
For
That's
sure.
all she
Yeah.
sees. But yeah, having independent
Mm-hmm.
kids, it's so fun. Um,
Yes. Yes, it is. I think your hitting scenario there is a perfect example of what I'm trying to say. I don't think I'm quite getting it out exactly how I want to, but like with the hitting, my youngest will come up and hit my oldest. And in that moment, my oldest has the decision of, yes, I can hit her back and teach her a lesson, but now I have to live with what that hit does. She's going to hit you back again because she's younger. And do you want to go through all of that? Or do you want to just like go through and just be done with it, walk away? Like you get to make that choice now.
100%.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's so true. And it really comes back to a lot of things. There's a lot of different ways that can look and that does look. If
Yeah.
you decide to it's all about choices, right? There's a big psychological theory that's not really theory, it's more proven in fact if anything else, but it's called choice theory. Choice theory is
Yeah.
basically understanding like everything we do in life is a choice. It's we choose to wake up. It's pretty much a mindset more or less. Like, okay, I choose to wake up.
Oh,
When
yeah.
I choose to wake up, I
Yeah.
choose to do these things. When I choose to shower, I have to choose if I'm going to wash and condition my hair. If I'm just going to wash my body, I have all these
Mm-hmm.
choices I have to make. Each of those direct choices is going to have a direct consequence. Consequences not aren't necessarily always good nor bad. It could literally be
Mm-hmm.
I am taking a shower and I'm choosing not to wash my body, which therefore means I'm probably going to smell. And then no matter how
Yeah.
much deodorant, cologne, or lotion I put on, I'm still probably not going to smell the greatest. From there, I
Mm-hmm.
lose that. And then that choice is that I could offend someone with my smell. Then that's my fault, and I have to own that kind of thing. So it's all about understanding and teaching our kids to
Yep.
understand, like,
Yep.
okay, being able to think in the moment. Okay, if I do this, what's going to happen next? Like you're mentioning there, if I start hitting
Mhm.
back, it's going to hit back more, and then I'm going to hit back more, and then it's going to be bad for everybody, kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's just like when you're talking with your
Yep.
wife, it's like, okay, I could say this one thing and I could get under her skin. I could really make her upset, or I
Yep.
could not. Even though she's poking, I can choose in this moment what to do. I can choose to resolve it, or I can choose to blow it up more. And if I choose to blow it up more,
Mhm.
the thing as being a parent is like, if I blow it up more, who's watching me blow it up more? And now,
Always watch it.
exactly, now the kids are seeing us argue. Now the kids are seeing how we fight and how we argue. The kids are now seeing, or my
Mhm.
girls are now seeing, like, this is how your mom gets treated by me, so this is your expectation of kind of what you're going to be at, or this is how you fight with each other. I had a family I was
Mhm.
working with somewhat recently at the time of this recording, to where I they mentioned that the two kids were fighting. Their kids are old enough to be at home alone. They Two of the siblings were fighting. They get back home, they watch the camera back. The camera doesn't tell them any audio, but they can clearly see in the audio or in the recording of what happened the body language of the kids. The body
Oh yeah.
language, it mirrored how mom and dad fight, how mom and dad get after
Mhm.
each other. And they were like, holy crap, was that the biggest wake up call that we have ever had? And the biggest
Bet.
slice of humble pie that we've ever had to eat as parents,
Mhm.
kind of thing. So it's just so important
It's a
to
big moment.
do those things. And if you need to turn your camera off for a minute, you're more than welcome to, uh,
Okay.
at any time.
I got something down here I got to grab real quick.
You're good.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure my charger was all set for you. I didn't lose you or anything.
You're good. Uh, so
Mhm.
let's see. So that's some of the real life parenting. Is that kind of what you wanted to touch on with
Mhm.
that? Trying to
Yeah,
normalize
no, that's
it,
great.
talk about it. It's so important to let your
It's
kids live life. Let them experience the good and the bad,
mhm.
and let them experience what's going to happen next, so that they learn that.
Mhm.
Don't protect them, don't
Well,
coddle them.
yeah, I mean, it's my biggest fear as a parent and being as involved on like Instagram and stuff like that. I don't want my kids to lose touch of how great boring boring real life can be. Like I want them to be able to enjoy all the tiny moments and not just kind of live for those big Instagram moments. Like I want them to be like one of my favorite memories is the fact that every Friday we do pizza and movie night. It's possibly the most boring Friday a lot of people have ever heard of. But it is absolutely one of their favorite things and I absolutely love it. And it's real life and real life is awesome.
100%. And it's so important to teach your kids to have fun doing the mundane, to
Mhm.
find things to like have fun with them, with like board games, card games. Uh, my older daughter, she is obsessed with Uno. She loves Uno. We have
Mhm.
Uno Flip, we have Uno Dare, we have Classic Uno, we have Dose, we have Uno Go All Out, I think we have 6 different kinds of Uno.
Wow, yeah.
It's a lot of Uno. Right now, she's really into Connect Four because she
Mhm.
just got that game for Christmas, and we finally started playing it. And she she really enjoys it. She's not great at it yet. She will get better at it. Uh, I'm sure she's super smart and intelligent. But like, to have fun, even just doing like Connect Four. Connect Four is probably one of the most basic, simplest games. But while it's not at the same time, because it does take a lot of strategy and a lot of thinking, uh,
Oh, for sure.
within that game. But just to normalize, like, enjoying real life. Like real life's cool. Life's cool. It's fun. Stop and smell the flowers. Stop and look up at the clouds.
Yep.
Go and look at the stars. Go and
Well,
just enjoy the world.
going back to our rambunctious littles, like the youngest ones, one of the biggest things that my kids have taught me is mundane isn't a real thing, at least not to us. Like, you can have a conversation about your day, and her conversation about her day in preschool is like, if we were to talk about it, it's like, I went there, I played, we went home, had a snack, that was my day. Yeah, that's mundane. But when you hear her talk about it, it's like the coolest thing that ever happened
Mm-hmm.
every single day. And there's really something that like us as parents can learn from that, of like, even tiny little moments that seem like nothing to us are really cool moments.
Because they are. They are those
Yeah.
cool moments to them. They are that
Mm-hmm.
cool and fascinating because we forget how cool life really is and how life really can be
We
because
get
we
so jaded
grow.
to it.
Exactly, and we get so jaded, we lose that sense of like gratitude, that sense of experience, that sense of just we lose that innocence. We learn, we grow, we develop, we fall into routine, and we forget like how cool it is to look for like shapes in the clouds, or how cool it is to see colors, or how like funny like something might actually be, or how silly something
Mm-hmm.
might be, or how exciting it is to just sit and play and do something. So it's so important. And I feel like a lot of times as dads, we lose that, especially because we don't prioritize those things. You know,
Oh, yeah.
we don't take
We're
that
always thinking
time.
about tomorrow instead of right now. Like worrying about bills and like making sure our kids are healthy and like our wives are taken care of, and we don't, not that we don't get to, we neglect to cherish like the little things. Because one thing that I'm, with my 7-year old getting older and becoming like her own person, like one day it's going to be the last time we have pizza on Fridays. So like, why wouldn't I want to enjoy all of them while they're happy?
And I think it's so important to realize that just from like a mental standpoint as a dad is that
Mm-hmm.
don't don't get so caught up in all the things that you forget all the little things that are going on,
Mm-hmm.
and that you lose a sense of like gratitude for what's right in front of you right now, and that you lose
Yeah.
that sense of like you lose your sense of self, and then you lose your mental health sense, and then eventually the dad bod sense in, and you lose your physical health sense, and then all these things kind of roll together to a place where you're not as happy, and you were there but you weren't able to enjoy the moment. You weren't able
You miss it.
to. Exactly, you miss all of it even though you're there. You are physically there, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, shoot, we're kids too. And I look at my parents and I think about, my dad was a hardworking guy, still is, love him to death. But I mean, you can't help but think, going through it now with your kids, of like, I'm always so worried about making sure that their life is as great as it can be, that a lot of times I know my dad did the same thing for me, but how many moments that I remember did he miss because he was worrying about that? And I don't want to do that with my kids. Like,
Mm-mm.
I want to actually be present when I hear the same story the seventh time 3 days in a row. Like, I want to be there, and I want to be, as involved as I can. And it's a tricky act, but like, us worrying about making life perfect for them isn't setting them up for success. It's really taking stuff away. because we're not all in for them. We're split in two different places at once. And it's doing them a disservice by worrying so much. Yeah, we have to worry. We're parents. We have to take care of them. That's part of the job description. It's what you sign up for. But at the same time, being present puts you in a better place. It helps them cherish everything that we go through, brings you all closer, and it actually sets them up for exactly what you're worried about.
Exactly. That's exactly
Yeah.
what it does. So it's so important to be present. It's so important to show up and be in like everything you can be at. Be in the front row. Be right there. Be present. Like
Yeah.
show up and be present. I mean, it goes. We hear it all the time growing up, like for work and stuff, like, and for school, is that half the battle is showing up. With
Mm-hmm.
parenting, that's like 80% of the battle is literally you show up, and the rest is so easy after that. You show up or you're present.
Yes.
The rest of it literally is so easy from that moment then after.
Yep. It really is. I
So
mean, we're our kids' biggest cheerleaders, and there's no better place to be, that's for sure.
yeah, there's no better place than to be their biggest cheerleader and to be in that front row or to be right there
Yeah.
cheering them on and supporting them. So there's no better place to be because that front row seat's the best seat,
Yep.
um,
Absolutely.
by far. So let's talk about this for just a moment, and then we'll jump into the YDP3. But
Cool.
wanted to talk about for you. You specifically mentioned the mental and emotional health issue that you're most familiar with and or passionate about being depression and ADHD. Tell us a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about that because I talked to a lot of dads. We're all like kind of in the same generation of this, struggling with these very similar things. So for you, what's the story behind those two things specifically for you?
Sure. I mean, I guess going back, I grew up a small town. You're instilled with this idea of, as a dad, as a husband, your job is to go to work every day and provide and essentially be that rock for your family. And it takes a toll on you. Like, if you're just doing it because you're supposed to, not that you don't necessarily want to, but going through those motions, if they are just motions and not something that you're truly passionate about, you fall into these ruts where it's just like, I don't necessarily want to do this today. Like, I want to do something for me, but I can't because I have to be there for them. Going back to what I said, like, you're always, as a dad, sometimes it feels like you have to always be worried about the future. And you always have to be worried about doing everything perfectly, and you want to make your kid's life perfect. And I mean, just being a person, let alone a parent, is tough, especially in the time that we live right now, where like everyone's fighting about everything, and it's not that deep. And but you can't help but let it. I mean, everybody gets beat down sometimes, and I think that unfortunately, as dads and men and stuff like that, it's not that we don't have the routes to get help with that. I think it's the fact that we either don't want to because it makes us feel weak, or like it somehow makes us seem less. And it's self imposed, but it feels like to us that it's the world putting it on us. And I've gone through a lot of times where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. And like, I'm supposed to have it all together for everybody. And I live in a house of girls, and all the emotion that goes through all of that, of just like interacting and stuff. Being a guy, I don't get it all the time. And it's just daunting. So like growing up raising girls and stuff like that has really taught me that the emotional side of everything is just as important as being that rock, that strong place. Like showing my kids that I can have bad days is huge. Like they're allowed to have bad days too. And I want them to have bad days and I want to be there for them when they have them. But I have to be able to like step outside of myself and admit that I'm having a bad day, admit that I'm having a hard time. I have to be able to like, um, as a guy, and I'll put it out there too, this might be stereotypical, but as a Midwest guy, like we're we have a stereotype to us of like we're the hardworking guys. We go to work 9 to 5, come home, eat dinner, go to bed. That's it. There's more to life than that. And feeling like that's what you're supposed to do and that's what it is, and you got to kind of live with it. It's tough. It's tough. Like just like as I get older, learning that I can talk to somebody about something. And to me, it may not be nothing, but once I start talking about it, there's 50 other nothings right behind it too that are pushing it all together. And like, I think not enough guys really reach out to get mental health help and that know that it's okay to do that. It's something that I've just recently figured out that, you know what? I'm the rock for my wife, but I also have to be able to talk about these things because I've let this one thing build up for 3 years now, and out of nowhere it blows up. It's not good for anybody. So just like the depression piece of it, like everybody goes through it. And realizing as a father and as a husband that that's okay, I think is something that's really important to like share with everybody, that like you're not alone. We just as dudes don't talk about it enough.
True,
And then
100%.
I mean on the ADHD part, like as far as ADHD goes, I mean that's its own troubles. If you deal with it, you know how tough a day can be sometimes. Like you have great days where it's the perfect utility belt to get you through that day. But then you have certain days where like you put your keys in the wrong place and it starts this like downward spiral of everything else going wrong, and you link it back to the keys, and that makes no sense, but it does, like in your own brain. Like, I mean, I think back to the like not enough people do it. We kind of, at least at my age, I hit that weird time frame of like when I was a kid. I didn't get diagnosed with it because I was just the active kid that was in every sport, that did all the things, and I just had a lot of energy to burn. So it was never caught. And then as soon as I got to the point where it was going to be, okay, you might have had something, was the time when it was like, oh shoot, we put all these kids on these ADHD drugs that didn't need to be on it, so we can't put anybody on it now. And then once you hit that, you're like through high school and now you're an adult, and getting diagnosed with ADHD as an adult is like ridiculously tough sometimes.
No, both those things are just, they're
So,
super tough.
yeah, but I mean, it's something we have to live with, and it's something we got to talk about. Is, I guess, the biggest thing. I deal with them every day, and if I can help anybody say, hey, I don't know if this is a problem for me, but I want to find out if it is, and it's okay to go ask somebody, then I've done my job here.
100%. And I think it's so important to echo that, like, you're not alone in this struggle. Like, you're not alone in these struggles. Like, for
No.
everyone listening, like, in this moment right now, like, you're not alone. For however many people listen to this at this very moment, like, realize, like, you're not alone. Like, the things you're going through, even though they feel so unique to you, they're not. Like, the way that it challenges and impacts you, there's other people that it also impacts in very similar ways. There's other people who are struggling with it. There's other people who are going through it. There's other dads just like you, probably closer than you think, that are also struggling with
Oh
this.
yeah.
I myself struggle with both those things. I didn't get an ADHD diagnosis till I was in my 20s. And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I can totally relate
Yep.
to all of that. Like, your keys can make or break your day. Uh, I've had to explain to my fiance, uh, when she moved in, saying like, look, if I leave a random thing in a random place, please, for everything good and holy in the universe, please do not touch it. Unless you want your phone blown
Mhm.
up, me asking where something is.
I will never find it again.
It's gone. It is gone. And I'm going to be stressed and my day is going to be ruined.
Yeah.
So I 100% get those
Or
things. And it's like, I'm not medicated. I'll
one
never
of
be
the
medicated for it. So,
yeah, me either. But it is what it is. Um, One of the coolest things that me and my wife have figured out, one of my ADHD things that I've noticed is like plans. So like if something's supposed to happen today, like if that changes, either you need to give me a lot of heads up so that I can adjust my headspace to it, or just don't tell me at all. And when it passes, if I don't notice, it'll be just fine. But like I've also got to the point with my wife of like on my way home, I can just text her and say, "Hey, I'm having one of those days." Where like if something goes wrong, I need you to know that it's gonna take a turn. And like getting to the point with her and with myself to be like, hey, I'm having this day where friends are supposed to come over and I get home and oh wait, no, they're not anymore. And that changes like my whole evening and it throws everything off.
yes.
And it's literally nothing else happened. But like I notice my whole routine and everything just falls apart because I had this in my head all day that this was going to happen. And if she hadn't said anything or if I hadn't asked about it, I never would have noticed that they didn't show up.
Yeah, 100%. And for a long time when that would happen for me, I just was like, I would just get angry and I was like, I didn't understand why. And I would just get like so mad and so frustrated. I'd be like, no, I'm pissed
Mm-hmm.
off. That's how I was in school. I was highly intelligent, highly active. I always finished my work
Mm-hmm.
first. I was always so quick about it. It was always so easy. Everything came easy to me in school. Sports came easy to me because I
Mm-hmm.
could focus. I could get really good at understanding them. New concepts and things came so easy to me because I could focus
Yeah.
long enough to like get it, master it, and move on to the next thing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
until like other things started to mix in, depression, anxiety, and things like that started to mix in for myself. And then I went to college, and then if there was something that I wanted to do, cool, I would be all into it. It'd be super fun. If I didn't like it, I would get a B or a C in the class. If I really did like it, I get A's.
Oh yeah.
Uh, Now I have to force myself into those like different mindsets and things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can almost turn it on and off as needed.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it takes a
You
little bit to
basically
turn
learn to
on.
trick
So
yourself.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed that like if I need to be a certain way in a day, like it takes me build up time to it. And sometimes I have to like figure it out on the fly. But yeah, I mean, the hyperfixation on certain things, it's a superpower, but also at the same time, like when that gets thrown off,
it's
it goes downhill real quick.
oh, real quick. Yeah, it spirals. It spirals. And no, I totally get what you're saying. Like 100%. Like you're not alone in it right now, because the same, like 98.765% the same, for all the things that you're mentioning. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and I think it's just important, like, the job here is to let people know, like, you're not alone. You're not the only one struggling about it, but you'll never know that if you don't talk about it. You're never going to know if you
Mm-hmm.
don't reach out to someone close to you and say, "Hey, I'm struggling." To get that support, to get yourself further support and further help. You're never gonna know.
Sure.
You're never going to
Yeah.
know how to deal with it, how to move forward from it, how to cope, how to manage it, how to have a normal ish life with it until you speak up. And
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with talking about it. There's absolutely nothing wrong. It's okay. Take it from in the program I work in my role, I'm the only male that works in my role. In our outpatient
Yeah.
therapy, we have two outpatient therapy buildings, one for kids and one for
Mm-hmm.
adults. We have one male therapist. In my role, we have in my building, in my program, we have two male therapists, and I'm the male, one of the male, the only male for my role. And for
Mm-hmm.
two of my roles, I'm the only male for those two roles. So
Mm-hmm.
do I at times feel like a token male? Yes, 100%. But that's okay, because my face helps other dads, other men come around
For
to the
sure.
idea that this treatment, getting the mental health services, is okay. It's not that bad.
Yeah.
Do women like it? No, because then they feel intimidated or upset or whatever kind of thing. And that's fine. That's on you. We can talk about that kind of thing. But it's so
Yeah.
important to speak up. You're never going to be able to get the help or the support that you need if you don't speak up and say something. So please speak up, say something, reach out to someone.
And if you've got nobody, I'll just throw this out there. If you don't feel like you have anybody and you think it'll help to talk to somebody random, my DMs are totally open. If you don't feel better after just getting it off your chest, like, tell me, because I would place the bet that you will.
100%. And same here. And I have plenty of people that I know that I will connect you with that I know who may be struggling with something very similar. And I'll get you connected with the right people who can fully empathize with you to help you feel like you're not
Mm-hmm.
alone. I have a catalog of people who I will connect you
Sure, yeah.
with, kind of thing. Like, I will find someone to help empathize with you,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll make it happen. So yeah. Oh, talk about it.
Absolutely.
Talk about it. Hit those DMs. You can hit mine. You can hit Bryant's. It's all okay. Bryant, let's
Definitely.
jump into the YDP3 here. Um, we'll hit it quick and then we'll wrap up. The
Cool.
YDP3 are three questions I ask every guest to kind of leave us on a kind of a happy note, a philosophical note, if you will. Thinking about these questions.
Sure.
I think I think my dog farted. I can smell it. Uh, that's not a question. The first question of the YDP3 is, where are you rooted? Like, by that, you can interpret it in a way that's like where you're physically like rooted, or
Mm-hmm.
or like, where are your roots on the inside of you? Like, what are those core values? What are those things that make up who Bryant is as a person?
Cool. So, where am I rooted? I'll do both, actually. I am Midwest to the core. What they say, I said it earlier, might be stereotypical, but I love just kindness. Like, there's nothing better than walking into a place here in the Midwest and never meeting people and then being like friendly to the point of almost being creepy sometimes. Like, you've known them their entire life. You can share stories with who, what, whenever. One of my absolute favorite things to do in the world is to go to a restaurant that I've never been before and sit at a table and or at the bar if I'm by myself or anything like that, and you end up starting conversations with the people around you. It just happens organically here, and it is the coolest thing in the world. And I think that that is the community of it is one of the things that I cherish the most and that I like to harbor in my life more than anything in the world. I have a group of friends, all my guy friends from high school. There's like, I know that switch sounds crazy to people in their 30s that you have 10 friends from high school that we talk to each other all the time, and we get together and we plan trips, but now we live all over the country, but we're still our own little group in our community. Within that community, you bring other people that they've become friends with, that you instantly become friends with as soon as you meet them for the first time. Like, that community and that kindness is at the core of where I'm rooted.
I love that. I love that. It's cool to be kind. It's cool to be kind.
It is.
It's
And
free.
it costs nothing. Yeah. And if nothing else, if somebody doesn't like your kindness, you're still going to feel good.
Yeah, right? That's on them. That's one of those things that actually is on them to figure out. Um,
Yeah.
so the next one here is what grounds you. So when you're feeling stressy and depressy, favorite saying, one of my
Yeah.
top 5 favorite sayings ever. When you're feeling all stressy and depressy, maybe anxious, maybe having a really bad ADHD day, which they do happen. You know exactly what I mean by that. What brings you back?
Mm-hmm.
What brings you down? What kind of reconnects you and snaps you back into reality?
Always going to be family. I can spend the worst day I've ever had out and about in the world. The second I come through the door, I mean, there really is no better feeling than getting home from work. The dogs come barreling through the front door. The kids come running after them. You hear the daddy, even at 7 years old, like, just come running, come say hi to the wife. You have your whole get together. The world just falls away after that.
I love that. I love that. And last
Yeah.
one here, I'm gonna set the scene. Okay, we're at a park.
Okay.
I'm randomly in Indy. You don't know me. I don't know you. We lock eyes from across the park. Classic love story. Locking eyes,
Fantastic. Yeah.
and we
I feel
lock
like we're in the
eyes.
Notebook.
We are. We're in a Hallmark movie, but there's a twist. The twist here is you look over at me and I look over at you and make this eye contact. You instantly can see. You can see the bags. They're big. You can see the
Mm-hmm.
tiredness. You can see the exhaustion. You can see the low vibes. You can just see it, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
I start to walk over to you, sit next to you on the bench you're sitting on. And I just sit down
Mm-hmm.
next to you because I'm like this. I look at you and I can see you're happy, you're joyful. Your secret sauce was saucing that day. Everything's working opposite of me. And I come and sit next to you, and you can feel the low vibes. You can feel, I stink of the low vibes. And
Okay.
I talk to you for a second. I'm like, look, man, I know you don't know me. I know I don't know you, but my kids are over there. Your kids are there. You guys look so happy. You guys look so together. What are you doing that I'm not doing? What is your secret sauce? Because I have never felt lower. I am so down. This is probably one of the low points of being a dad. In that moment, you get one, maybe 1.5 pieces of advice that you're encompassing on me.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like that question. Pieces of advice that I would say the biggest one for me, and the one that I try and remember in those moments for me, is find joy in the little things. Sometimes you have to look really hard for it, but I guarantee we're sitting on the bench. You can you can smell flowers. Find the little thing that you can find joy in, because when you find that one little piece of joy, it's like finding light in a dark room. It it just expands. You find the one little piece of joy, it flips your mind somehow. I'm sure there's a scientific reason for it, but finding something in that joy, or finding that little piece of joy wherever it may be, starts a snowball effect to, I can see it here, so it'll go to here, so it'll go to here. It's a flip in the mindset that you can, if you look even at the smallest thing, you can start that snowball somewhere.
I love that. That was beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
Well, Bryant, this
Thank
has
you.
been an absolutely super fun last hour plus with
I've
you,
loved it.
talking to you, getting to know you, the ups and downs, talking about all the things we got to talk to today. Go ahead and tell the people a little bit about where they can find you if they want to connect with you more, follow along with you in your journey, and learn
For
more about
sure.
this flyover city that hosts 2 professional sports franchises of Indianapolis.
All-Star Weekend coming up. Yeah, we've got NBA All-Star Weekend here in town coming up soon.
Oh, it's gonna be so
It's a
fun.
great city.
Please tell me you're gonna go
Oh, it's gonna be
down
great.
like
I get
to
to.
where the arena is, and you're just
Oh
gonna
yeah,
go and just partake in
I'll be
whatever's going
downtown.
on.
Don't you worry. I will
Oh
be there.
man,
It's gonna be great. I won't get to go to any of the games or anything like that, but the way they set up the city is we've already turned the entire city into the party. Like, I don't know if you've seen, if you haven't, look it up. We put a full-size regulation basketball court in our airport just for this.
no way.
It is, yes, we did.
That's
It's like
awesome.
right smack dab in the middle of the airport, like right, you know how every airport you have like the outside restaurants and stuff like that, and then you
Yeah.
go through security and you're in the terminals. So that area, right where the terminals all meet up, they put 2 full-size regulation goals. They painted lines. It looks just like a basketball court. You got to check it out. It's so cool.
Can you
But
play on
I
it?
mean, that they have the goals covered, but like you can take a
Oh,
basketball in there and dribble it around and stuff like that. But unfortunately, they did cover them for probably safety reasons and stuff
whatever.
like that. But
Lame.
it's there. It's cool. But yeah, no, we go all out for events like this. So
That's awesome.
I'm really looking forward to doing that. But yeah, to find me, I'm really just going hard on the Instagram thing. Find me at the Indy Dad. Shoot me a DM, emails theinddad@gmail.com. You can send an email there if you want to do a little bit more long form than a DM. Always happy to chat and always happy to meet new people. I love it. I love talking to other dads, other parents, other Midwesterners, or really anybody in any city because I like to travel too. Always looking for somewhere new to check out, that's for sure.
Definitely. Well, I appreciate that. I'm gonna share this real quick. I gotta share this in case people
Uh-huh.
don't want to go look it up themselves. This is I had no clue about this. This is awesome. Like, this is
Yeah, it's
incredible.
so cool.
Like, it's a full on
It
basketball
is
court.
full regulation, lines painted and everything, right in the middle of the
Like,
airport.
the baggage claims. This
Yeah,
is insane.
we
This
go
is
big, man.
so cool. This is dope. I've never
Yeah,
seen a
and we're
city
still
do
2 weeks
something like
away.
this. This is incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I get a couple great weeks. I'm a big basketball guy on my other podcast, my sports podcast. I do recaps of my
oh,
dynasty,
cool.
my fantasy basketball dynasty league, talk about fantasy basketball quite a bit. And this is super cool. But I get 2 really cool weeks because I have a daddy-daughter dance the first weekend in February, and then this follows it 2 weeks later. So I'm super excited to get to enjoy that. But this is
Yeah.
incredible. This is so cool. Um, yeah. But anyways,
Oh, yeah.
Brian,
And
I
one of
go
the
ahead.
cool things about the city, too, celebrities are going to be here. We're a little big city. There, I can, from experience with the Super Bowl many years ago when we had it in town, if you come to Indy, you're going to see somebody. It's so much fun.
Well, it only has a population of 882,000 people. Um, in Indianapolis, so only
Yeah.
1 million people. So I mean, it's only so it's
Well,
not small. Um,
it's
it's
not
bigger
small,
than
but it feels small for a city of a similar size. I'll say that from experience.
True. Well, Brian, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you jumping on with me tonight. This was a lot of fun, super fun, and a
I
pleasure to
loved
get to
it.
know you and talk about all the things we got to talk about tonight.
Yeah, likewise. Hope we get to do something like this again.
Definitely.